Dobro Ranku. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is or it looks like a podcast or a morning program. I don't know.
Video, duh.
Yeah, video. I'm Bas from the Netherlands.
I'm Brad from the USA.
We're two very different people, but we live in the same city. We're friends.
So, hope your day's going okay. This is kind of an update on the situation here, and then we occasionally veer off on topics
Yeah.
of little importance, except to us.
So how was your time being? Nothing
Well,
scary.
only a few sirens last night and this morning. I heard the one this morning because it ran for a long time, but luckily it was about the time I needed to get up, so Putin gave me an alarm this morning.
Did you hear the boog, the explosion?
Oh,
Oh.
is that okay?
You bastard. Wait,
Uh-oh. His phone is rebelling.
technical difficulties.
It's okay, though, because it's now back under control.
And we're back.
Okay.
Yeah, there was an explosion this morning, but I think it was in the Oblast, Mykolaiv Ski Oblast.
Well, yeah, they never tire of that, sending that Shaheeds and rockets in here.
Yeah, no Shaheeds last night. Well, in Ukraine, yes, but above Mykolaiv, no. The air alarm this morning was very annoying for me because you have every dad or somebody with kids that has to bring them to school knows the horrors of mornings, getting the kids ready, getting them dressed, getting them fed. They have to pee before they go to school, drink, and so it's a big rush to be on time.
Yeah.
And then during the ride, there's an air alarm, and that means that school is officially not open. And according to the rules, I got a bunch of rules. I have to drop them off at the nearest shelter and wait there until the air alarm is over, which is, I don't know where the shelters are, and also it's like not really nice to sit there in the morning, so I just drop them off at school and then they go in the shelter over there. But if the alarm would have been like 10 minutes earlier, I would have had a very quiet morning, because then you have less stress because you don't leave until the air alarm is over.
Yesterday afternoon, I was sitting at my desk and I heard what I thought were jets in the distance. And I think I heard two, but sometimes if there's a lot of wind, you may hear something that reminds you of a jet. But this was not like a rocket or anything like that. So I went to the window and I couldn't hear it. I came into the kitchen and opened this window up wide and stuck my head out. But it was gone by then. But it was not the wind, I can say that. So I think I heard two jets yesterday somewhere in the vicinity of Mykolaiv. But I couldn't identify them or say what they were. And I didn't hear any explosions, so it may have been a routine thing that I'm not aware of now. They started patrolling with jets or something.
Yeah, it used to be much more often. Once I was at the playground with my son, and the air alarm went off because of a drone, not a Shahed, but one of those Zala ones that try to check where defensive stuff is and everything.
Oh.
And or hospitals, you don't know. But and then we heard, and there was a MiG flying very slowly over the river. We were next to the river, and it was impressive. And then he got the drone. You heard a and then of it falling down. So yeah, but that was like last year. I haven't seen any jets since then. I sometimes hear, I think, an old Yak. They use these old planes with open cockpits to shoot down drones as well.
A Yak.
Yeah.
This is like a mountain buffalo or something.
Well, these planes are from the Second World War, I think, or
Sure,
just after that.
sure.
But they can mount a machine gun in there,
Uh,
and it's like an open airplane. So there's one flying with the helmet on and everything, and there's one in the back that shoots down the drones, and it is kind of effective, I think. But
I
yeah.
see the USA is finally awakening to the use of domestic drones against us. And I'm sure they've been working on drone technology. It's just that there may have not been putting it into the news. But now, since they have all this drone traffic over the ports and Coast Guard, especially around New York, and all the pundits are screaming, it's impossible not to admit there's 1,000 drones out there in the course of a week. And they act like nobody sees it, or unofficially, we didn't hear of anything. What does that mean? So
Uh,
anyway,
well, I don't know if you saw the official statements. The first statement was very technical, and that there were no threats and blah blah blah. And then later they said, well, maybe there are some, but we cannot stop them or something like that. And please don't shoot at them
well,
because they're not a threat.
yeah,
And
maybe.
but also the problem is it's in New Jersey. There are the most sightings.
Yeah.
They also have an airfield there. Uh, and so
Well, they may be
so
testing
no,
everybody.
no, they have like a map with how to spot a drone for people in New Jersey,
Oh,
and it's just a plane, a
oh,
fighter
well,
jet, and
yeah.
it's all
Silhouette.
called a drone because the most sightings are like with the red and the blue light, and so they're just planes often.
Yeah.
There are also some that are not planes, but yeah, it's a running joke now there.
Well, there's probably going to be a new industry now that every public facility will have to pay for, which would be the protection from drones. So the Congress will be able to say, see how easy it was to terrorize the country? So now we need $1 trillion for drone defense. And they'll get it and then they'll spend it, and some of it will actually destroy a few drones. These may be domestic drones from one of our ops, one of our many ops.
Well, they also want Amazon to use drones for delivery and everything, right? So how do you know it's like not that?
Well, I mean, certainly they can check the records for Amazon, who's buying what. And of course, I'm sure there's a machine tracking all that and handing out lists who bought more than 5 drones or anything like that, or for every drone purchase.
I think the biggest point is that the world has to wake up because drones have been changed so much because of the
Yeah.
war here in Ukraine. The way they use them, the way they now have those optical cables behind them so you cannot jam them,
Right.
the way that yeah
Sure.
they have different frequencies. They change the program of the drone so you cannot easily hack them, and just because normal domestic drones, they have a GPS sensor in there,
Hmm.
and also geofencing, so it knows on the map which things you cannot go in there,
Hmm.
and they're all registered. So because you use it with your phone, so it's like connected to your phone. So anybody that wants to, they can check it. But the new drones are very sophisticated. They have been hacked. The Ukraine. That's the first thing they do in Ukraine is to change. For example, if you have a DJI, in the beginning they were not doing it, but DJI is a Chinese company. They give this data straight to Russians,
Hmm.
and then they noticed that there was shelling as soon as they are
Yeah.
using this drone. So now they change up all the software and everything.
That's the problem with all these transponders and transmitters on everything. And you never know where the information is ending up. And I'm sure they're all buying each other's research as fast or stealing it, So,
Yeah, my big worry is now that here in Ukraine, as everywhere else, the car market is flooded by cheap electrical Chinese cars that are also connected, so
uh-huh.
they can map the whole street.
Oh,
map your whole city. They can actually see uh, military things on the street.
I think Google has already been doing that.
Yeah, but this is live. Google is like every year they do it,
Oh,
and
yes.
if you're from the government, you can ask them to remove something.
Yes.
But these Chinese things, they have like it's like a spy on your
Uh,
roads. And
Very bad.
yes, and they are everywhere now.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no legislation against it or anything. People want a cheap car, I understand, and but yeah, it's not it's kind of worrisome.
Yeah.
But yeah, but all in all, life in Mykolaiv is pretty good, I would say.
Well,
Weather is
yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword when you talk about the condition here. If you say it's good, people say, "Oh, there's no war. We don't need to
no
help."
complaining.
And on the other hand, if you say how bad it is, then they're saying, "Well, why don't you leave?"
Yeah, you're
Well,
crying.
the thing is, it's not. I'll say this: it's some days are worse than others. Right now, you see, we're not in extreme fear.
We have light,
Yeah,
power.
well, that's a good thing because they turn our lights off a lot lately. Just for the whole city, we go in. They call it churgas. They're different districts divided by how much electricity is being used, and they basically gerrymander the city into areas, and you're on churga 1 through 6, and each week and each day you get updates on which districts will lose power, so you can at least plan when your heater is going to be on, or when you can cook, or when you can take a shower, in your, place like that, or when you're going to need candles. It's not too bad in the daytime. You can always go in your kitchen and sit next to the stove, and you have light. But
It scares
at
me
night,
so
it can
much.
be really gruesome. I mean, and it can get cold here. We had that one day. It was almost 2 days in a row, no electric, and most of the pumps run by electric. So that means even if you have gas, you can't heat your whole place unless you have a generator or some other special situation, or a fireplace. But you're not going to have that in your apartments.
No, that's too dangerous.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, prices have been going up. Is what everybody notices.
Yes, food prices are ridiculous. I mean, I say that they don't compare to the West,
Yeah,
especially
too
USA,
cheaper.
but I can tell you that prices here in Ukraine have probably doubled in 3 years, and that means that if you were paying 130 for a piece of beef, that's 130 hryvnias for a kilogram. Now you're paying 260 to 320, and I won't go into the exchange. That changes all the time, but the prices are up. And I'm lucky that I have a pension that I can buy things, but a lot of people here are having hard times.
Yeah, I'm going to back to work after being a stay-at-home dad.
What kind of work you gonna do?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what is available. I don't think I'm a good bus driver or something. So probably management of or something like that. That's what I've always done.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah, my dream job is working at the PPO on the back of those pickup trucks, shooting down drones. But I think I'm
That's
too
a good
old,
idea.
and I
Yeah.
wear glasses, so I don't know if they will let me do that. But yeah, no. But also for us, like my wife has a good job. She has actually 2 jobs, and she studies, and everything is getting so much more expensive.
She's working 2 jobs.
Yep.
What is she doing?
She
Can I
work,
ask?
she works at an NGO
Oh yes.
as a meal officer. That means that she people send money, and then somebody has to check if all this money goes to the right cause, what has to be bought. She's like a manager of all this stuff,
Right.
Checking. Sometimes she
Yeah,
goes to these
to see
places.
if it goes where it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
and it's used for the right people.
Sometimes she goes to these places, and
Looks
for
to
me,
see.
it's very scary because he goes to Kherson Oblast, to Mykolaiv Ski Oblast, where many things hit. They get hit much more often than
Oh,
we in the
sure.
city.
Kherson's being hammered all the time by drones or artillery.
Yeah, so that is always a scary moment for me. And she has an online job as well, and she studies. So yeah, and
Just for Americans, if I had to live in Kherson, I wouldn't be here. Luckily, Nikolaev is another 50 kilometers farther,
yeah.
and we can get drones, but we don't get any artillery.
No, yeah, and now these FPV drones that are hunting at people and buses and ambulances and police, it's really bad. So
Yes.
yeah, thank God. It's one of my biggest fears here now. But yeah, thank God they don't come here so far. Yeah, no, I think it's very hard for normal Ukrainians to do stuff and to afford stuff.
Well, I think police will be involved in this drone stuff too. I'm pretty sure all the police departments are gonna need drone units and anti-drone units, because what's left over from this war, the amount of drones and technology and the ways they've been used creatively, but also very destructively. But they've been used for spying and war for 20, 30 years already. So you can imagine now, as the prices keep coming down, that could be one of the methods of choice to commit crimes or destruction or murders, whatever.
Yeah, you see it already in many science fiction shows and movies. But yeah, yeah, you just have to be try to be in front of the technology and not walking
Mm-hmm.
behind it.
Mm-hmm.
We also have in Ukraine we have now a lot of land drones, which is like unmanned little vehicles.
Little wagon with an electric motor.
Yeah, they were using them already to take out wounded
Oh yeah, yeah.
if it's too dangerous. But now they also have them mounted with machine guns.
Yeah. I saw one of those in testing. I never saw on television, YouTube,
Ah,
and it looked interesting. And I saw also they can run water and medicine and stuff in with one of those and shoot their way out. And I mean, you can make them, have making loops all day, taking care of business where you would not want to send troops. And they're loaded with cameras, and you can even,
AI.
yeah,
No, they're really good now with
you can
AI.
even use misinformation and everything, help a sniper triangulate things like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, but I have to watch Terminator 2 again with my son because we were getting there. All these
Sure.
robots.
Yeah.
But as long as they're friendly to us, I'm fine with them. Robots are good.
Yeah. Well, we already got so many machines. I can't believe it. Um, I didn't understand in the 70s when they started using circuit boards and things that you wouldn't ordinarily want in a car. And I thought it was needless complexity, and then chips and everything. You need special tools. Well, that pretty much takes it out of the hands of the average guy that, shade tree mechanic or guy works in his garage to fix his car. But I'm sure they have all kinds of feedback loops and data collection, and they can even plan the chip for obsolescence. These lights you get on your dashboard, I'm sure they mess with those all the time for statistics and probability of spending more money. How many lights you get, whether they're important or not, is another thing.
Well, like most cars, they have like, for example, maintenance intervals. My car will give me a light, which the first time it scared me because I was on the run from Ukraine because in the beginning of the war,
Mm-hmm.
so I was on the run. I was I think in Germany or Austria or whatever, and then my maintenance light started blinking. And I thought, oh no! And it turned out that like every year and every so many miles on my car because mine is from the US, um, then it just gives you the sign to remind you that you have to change oil or just have a maintenance
Sure.
check, brakes
Yeah.
and everything. So that would, yeah, I think it's a good thing. But
Well, a lot of people love the bells and whistles, even if they seldom know what's happening. They just like the bells and whistles, and they believe everything the salesman says about the bells and whistles. One of my sisters drives a car or anything, a washing machine. The more bells and whistles it has, she'll pay 3 times as much. And half the time, I look at most of this stuff and I just shake my head because she doesn't want to hear it. But it's all junk and mostly in the way. And it keeps you busy and feeling important about why you spent that extra 65% on the car or the washing machine.
well, you saw when the COVID hit, all of a sudden they were running out of chips, and then they were selling new cars without a working radio, for example, because that's run by a chip, or without a working air conditioning because that's run by a chip and
Right.
stuff like that. And now, to make it more topical again and about Ukraine, uh, Chinese have stopped selling drones and drone parts to, well, let's call them the allies because it's a big war.
Yeah.
So Ukraine cannot buy drones or drone stuff from
China.
China. The Europeans can't. America can't. Only Russia can, and probably India and all those other corrupt countries too.
Mhm.
And the problem is they made everything so cheap, all these components, that it was not worth it for us
To
in
have
the West
factories.
to be able to make them. So now we have to step back and start making all this stuff here. And you see,
Strategic planners, especially Department of Defense, know that in advance. So, in my opinion, that was planned.
I don't
Just
know.
like planned obsolescence, that's a planned weakness. And I think it's written into the script and the timelines for progress along the New World Order. But I
Well,
won't go into the
no,
details.
no,
on
let's
it.
not. No,
Absolutely, they know about that.
but
An idiot program would report that to you. Why are you taking supply from your enemy?
But did you read about the problems that Britain had? I think politics is much more ad hoc decisions making and bad planning in democracies because we want to keep the people happy, and then dictatorial
They don't
countries
care if
it's
the
different.
people are happy, just so that the blame falls on somebody that they want to kill anyway.
But in England they have new submarines. The UK. Turns out somebody put Chinese chips in there because they probably were cheaper because we're
Probably.
a democratic country, and we don't want to have corruption. For every part
Yeah.
you have to check which is the best, which is cheapest, and then you have like a honest competition. So
Wouldn't you want
ships
computer
cannot be launched.
surveillance of all that stuff brought in from these rogue nations or these troublemakers? I mean,
Yeah, what I'm saying is they should have strategic thinking about not putting certain components in your weapons. It's the
I
same
think
with
they do.
no, they don't,
I
because
think they
even
do, and that they're ignorant on purpose.
no,
It's like the Pentagon. We don't know what happened to that $27 trillion, and they're all chuckling. Like,
well, Pentagon is actually very smart because they made all their European allies use their components in the bombs, like the Shadow Storm,
yeah,
the French version of it,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
it has little American components,
yeah.
and because of that, they cannot tell Ukraine. Every time they give them to Ukraine, they have to check with the Americans. And the Americans can say, no, you can only use them in Ukraine and not over the border or something.
Sure.
So they're actually doing a better job than the Europeans.
And if you were the CIA, wouldn't you want every part of those things marked in some way? Like they make these little RFID chips, for a million for $1, but each one of them has a signature because it's scraped in a certain way, like a fingerprint or something. And they can run that through a scanner and find out everywhere it's been according to the other scanners.
Well,
I think they do that routinely.
I,
You buy an electric shaver, let alone a real weapon.
uh, well, the problem if you put this thing in something as important as a weapon or something,
Yeah,
then it's also like who makes these chips? The Chinese.
sure.
So that is a vulnerability.
Yeah,
Somebody could take over your data. So I think they're
sure.
pretty careful with these things.
Yeah,
And
if you
also
found
with
out China was buying all the certain kind of electric razors from the EU, like every razor that's made in Netherlands, even why are they buying it? And you find out, oh, it's for that chip.
well, I see it. But well, actually, the electric razor is made by the Netherlands. It's Philips. They
Yes,
invented it.
right, right,
Like the CD player and the DVD player.
sure.
They're all made by Philips, and everybody copied them. And I think Philips by now is not real
Not
Philips
the
anymore.
real owner. Or...
No, because well, everybody just copies their technology. They used to be very good, like
Yeah,
the Chinese are now. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I don't. There are people that are paid to sit around and come up with stuff that I'm talking about 30 years ago. And I don't think they kept their jobs for 30 years if they couldn't think of this. This is pretty basic. What's the point of having computer scanning and all these ID chips and markings and transparencies? I mean, if you look at your money or your passports, you see just a little bit of the visual optical ways they can check it. It'll have magnetic tapes, layers of certain kinds of, you can view the thing under ultraviolet or maybe, I don't know, infrared. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is they have so many different ways to identify things that uh, it's no wonder we found all those passports on top of the wreckage at 9/11. Completely untouched passports of the purported evildoers of 9/11.
okay. You're going there today.
Yeah, I just had George Bush on my mind when I.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. And now they actually have axis of evil, and they have a reason to use all this mass industry and everything.
Yeah,
And everybody is just sleeping. It's very
sure.
frustrating if you look back. They
Yeah,
were so eager to attack Iraq, and now, eh,
right.
it just. I mean, the Koreans are kind of in Europe, fighting, and
Yeah,
nobody does anything. They should have just said, "Okay, you send Koreans, we send our troops from NATO. Let's see how it happens." But they just let it escalate and escalate and escalate. And now, if they say, "Well, we're gonna send troops," you don't have a cause and effect anymore. It's like when you try to teach a dog something. If you punish it like half an hour later, it's not gonna understand what is going on. Why is it punished? And it's gonna bite you. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, from some viewpoints, not just mine, the central banks sit behind all this, and they're waiting for people to club each other senseless and borrow money so that they have control of that nation or that cadre or those oligarchs for the next 20, 30 years. Or, and if they don't pay back and take care of business the way the central bank wants, they find themselves in a war that they can't win. And that's basically how the central banks have been doing business for a long time. Uh, it takes a triumvirate though between money and technology and spies, and I don't think they have any trouble putting that together. Uh, you know, I'm interested about this guy that was killed, the CEO of United Healthcare. I'm wondering how much of that was op and how much of that was just natural progression of events. When you oppress people and mess with them, somebody finally gets shot.
Well, I don't know if you saw it on the news, but in Moscow, one of the heads of the chemical and nuclear thingies was murdered by a bomb placed in one of those electrical scooters. And
Oh,
and now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe this is not Ukraine. They're probably, because if Putin wants to press the red button, he cannot. It doesn't work because they have a singular team that is disconnected from everything that organizes this and is also in contact with NATO. So maybe they try to get rid of this security system. And my point is, don't expect peace, but expect more wars because
yeah.
this is not going to stop. I mean, if Trump even says to us, "You have to stop," like, why? Because some orange weird guy tells us to do, and he doesn't care about people or crimes or anything. And also, Russia doesn't want to stop. 25% of their economy is just war related now, so they cannot stop. So yeah, so get some flashlights, some battery packs for your phones and everything, and yeah, be a little prepared. Don't save some money up, get some cash. Yeah, we do that too. If we have some money left over, we put it in euros or dollars. So even if the hryvnia falls, we still have some backup. Yeah, and give your kids a phone so you can always reach them. Just be a little bit more careful and yeah, plan for the worst and then hope for the best. As I don't know, said it before, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm going by what we've seen in recent history. The war will end, and we'll call it some kind of a temporary stalemate, and Putin and his friends can operate peacefully and calmly in luxury behind a new Iron Curtain. But where they draw the line is not going to be settled until they're done with all their research and all their economic philandering. And after they do that, then they'll decide, we could end this, you know. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no way it's gonna end. I mean, how? It's like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I mean, if they have the
zombies.
Iron Curtain and they have some kind of a peace, it would be
Yeah,
like,
but who wants that?
well,
Not
only,
Russia and
only
not
the
Ukraine.
people and the soldiers.
No, soldiers
and
want
the
to
state.
fight on. People also want to. They don't want to lose their
Well,
piece of their country because the people that are there are being
Yeah,
killed.
yeah.
They're being tortured. They have to take Russian passports, otherwise your kids cannot go to school.
well, at
You're-
some point they'll
You
run
cannot
out
go
of
to the
soldiers.
hospital.
And
There's
when
no
they run out
way.
of soldiers, then whoever's left takes over the government.
No, the government will never be soldiers. I mean, they're like in their ivory tower. And
No. If they go to Kiev, they'll throw people out the windows, just like every war. If Ukraine runs out of soldiers, they're going to be overrun.
I don't see that happening.
I don't either, but I'm saying if it happens.
Yeah, if Moscow explodes, then it's going to be over.
If Moscow explodes.
So same
Right,
if.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're also
probably
running out of
would.
people.
Yeah.
They say that their statistical count of the people who live there
Yeah.
is
Well,
not
that
the
would-
reality.
That would give planners an excuse to if Moscow were blown up, that would give planners an excuse to off two or three more cities in areas like China and the U.S. or France or someplace. That makes logical sense for the news, and there's no reason they wouldn't want to take out a few cities where they uh, can make some kind of progress towards some other operations, population controls, economic manipulations. Oh, okay, now I'm not saying I think this will happen, just so you don't think I'm crazy. What I'm saying is these kind of things have happened in the past, and there's nothing that says it couldn't happen in the future, considering who's involved and what kind of instruments they have.
You still see a big plot like a
You
James
mean
Bond movie around
yeah,
it.
you mean I fear that somebody will come with big technology and run the population like COVID or something like war or something? Yeah, of course. That's their whole business. That's why they exist, is to take as much harvest from the people on the farm or in the zoo as they can. That's their whole thing. They want to control capital, and they want control of everybody because they know that every other paranoid megalomaniac would do the same thing.
I see it a little different, but that's okay.
How do you see it?
Well, I think
We're all gonna sing "Kumbaya" and things will be
no,
smooth.
no, not like that. But I don't think there's like somebody or something that is in control of this. I used to study politics, and I
Yeah.
went to The Hague, Brussels, all the spots where the European Bank, which is really big, and I don't see this long year strategy
You
or
don't see
something
any
like that.
strategy to have
It's all ad
control of the
hoc.
world and the economics and
Well, I think
power.
it's more like the I think companies want to be bigger, and in America and in the Netherlands, and people are trying to get richer, and
So are empires.
well, I wouldn't call it like that. I think it's like they had the same thing in the beginning of the big industrial revolution. People were like slaves, and then they broke loose. I think it will always be like companies and power trying to control, get more power,
Mm-hmm.
and but I think always like look at Ukraine. We are the
Yeah.
most. They are the most stubborn people there are. Anarchy was born here. They don't like rules. So I see it less bleak,
Well,
and I
they
think
have
it's
their
just a
share
phase.
of traditional rules, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Oh, they're tired of having an imposition put on them, and then they're kept poor and powerless, which is one of the reasons it's hard to get guys to fight here. They may hate the Russians, but it's like some guys are saying, look, I'm not going to die so that Ukrainian oligarchs can run the country instead of Russian oligarchs. Because you see, I haven't benefited from anything here and I don't expect to. So I'm giving my life for a tradition or some land when I can go somewhere else. Now, we had the same thing during Vietnam, all those draft dodgers from World War II, all that. I'm telling you that some people understand that they are not going to be enfranchised, even if, even if they're told they will be or that they are. That's why Muhammad Ali didn't want to go to Vietnam and basically said he saw no reason for it. And I understand that position. And reminds me of the Creedence Clearwater
Yeah,
song "Fortunate Son," which is about people that Say what? I'm going to have to go fight a war for a country that's basically standing on my neck.
I don't think Ukraine is standing on anybody's neck, and I think
Well, when you
fighting
go
for
and you have to stand in line for something and you have to pay extra to finally get it, from very little money, you might think you're a victim of corruption.
that is the Soviet Union, and we're not in there anymore.
We were,
Yes,
and it still happens. I'm not saying it has ended or that it's not ending, but what I'm saying is it's a slow process.
on the
If you want anything done here, you almost have to. Not because you could just say, well, people pay off. They have to scrape a lot of money together to pay somebody off. But it's like in the USA, we have legal, economic insulation and status and classes. They have the same thing here. It's just a lot lower and flatter.
I think
It's
I
still
have
capital.
because I have a Ukrainian family and a Ukrainian wife and a Ukrainian mother, and I am not seen
Your
as
wife's job is to make sure that doesn't happen.
yeah, but it's like
Why would they hire her?
they have the same job in Africa. They have the same job
Of
in every
course.
place
Are
because
you-
she talks to other people to see
Yes.
what they need and everything, and then
That's
they check
right.
if it goes there.
So
But it's not-
that job
not-
is to make sure corruption doesn't flourish.
Well, it was there before they went to Ukraine. It's
Yes.
it's just a basic thing. But I have a less bleak vision of Ukraine. I see all the things that like they're fighting corruption with. Uh, yeah, I see
A
it
lot
very
of
different.
guys say,
But-
why are you hiring a 45-year-old man who's a father of children instead of getting a 20-year-old? Why are you drafting him and forcing him to go to the front when you could get a 20-year-old? That's a question.
well,
Our own generals ask it all the time, so do yours from NATO.
well,
Dutch.
Well,
Generals.
if you look at well, there's many here people
There's
get,
lots of reasons.
get
I know.
kids much earlier. So in their 20s, they still are gonna get kids and have a family.
Some.
45 years old already have a family.
Oh, okay.
So and they're more experienced. So
Yes,
you're
okay.
destroying your population much less, and also the group.
Except that the people
No.
need support, and now
No.
they're left without a father.
Well, yeah, because we got attacked.
Yeah. So
And they have to.
You're
but
saying,
look,
well,
no,
we
no, no,
need
no, no, no.
children.
Let me. No, look. These people are fighting because Russians are bombing them.
Yes.
If they would not stop them, they would have taken Mykolaiv. They would
Right.
have taken Odessa.
I agree.
And their children would not have a good life. They would
I
have been
understand.
killed. They would have
I
had to flee.
understand. That's
So
what-
I know a lot of people that are actually in the Ukrainian army because they understand this. And they are not Dutch. They're some are afraid
yes,
to die. That's why.
volunteered. Yes, volunteers.
No,
we have a
also
lot.
people just get via DIA, have to go somewhere. They made this thing now where if you choose you can choose the place where you want to go to, like the different army regiments.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, what
I
I
think-
hear is a lot less bleak.
I think one of the reasons that 20-year-olds aren't being drafted is because
It's a very
They-
small group, if you look at it. It is.
it's smaller than the 45-year-old
Yeah, much
guys.
smaller. It's like the half.
Oh, okay.
So no, like even if you say that we have to draft 18 years old, which have a lot less life experience
yes.
and are, I think, not as smart as a 45-year-old.
That's what
Not-
we
not,
do in the USA. I can't say that's good. I can't say any of this is
No.
good. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
under
no,
war,
but-
you do things, and I understand why people say, look, I'm not going to go die when I know what's going to happen afterward, even when we win. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is I don't condemn them. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I say I see the circumstances. Young guys can get out of the country and take a job in IT or something, and maybe even save their lives it doesn't help the country. I know. If they were to penalize them and take money or something from them, that would be like taking a fine to support the country. I don't know if that's a compromise or not, but you hear things like that. Well, then we're going to take this and that, and you'll have when if and when you come back. So the whole idea is you're trying to balance loss, internal versus external, and there's a lot of different things to balance. I'm just saying that I understand people that have feelings about that. So do a lot of Ukrainians.
Yeah, and a lot of Ukrainians are fighting at the
That's
front.
true. I'm not saying Ukraine is bad. I wouldn't be here if I thought it was bad.
No. I'm not saying that you say that, but I mean, it might look like that. That look, we had some corruption. We still have some corruption, but that uh, many countries have that. Look at America. It's like
Sure.
you're inviting the most
Yeah.
corrupt person in the world.
Right. Well, you have it's a lot higher up corruption too because our Congress has legalized so much criminal stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
the rich
Pelosi.
don't pay taxes.
How much money
They
she
live
made
off
on the
these.
stocks?
You can't tax the trusts. They're using corporate all kinds of money for all kinds of slop, and they don't pay anything because those luxury yachts are all part of business expenses, and so are the vacations and the bonuses and all the other payola, as well as fixing Congress's problems. Fixing them up really good to pass these criminal laws, making it legal. So they give the people something like, well, yeah, but you can buy legal marijuana now, cannabinoids. You can buy that. Oh, okay, thank you. You stop putting people in prison for using that. Thank you. So it's really they balance a lot of pressures in the USA too. I'm not just saying it's Ukraine.
No, I live in a suburb, and like many of the dads I hang around with on the playground with kids,
Mm-hmm.
they went to Ato in 2014 to
What's
fight.
Alto?
It's when 2014
Yeah.
when Russia attacked the Donbass and the Crimea and everything. They had the Ato. It's anti-terroristic organization.
Oh, okay.
So they went and fought there already, and the ones that I know, they don't have to. They're not getting drafted now, because they have laws that if you have, for example, a kid that has learning difficulties or stuff like that, then you don't have to go. Like he has a son that is really autistic, so so
No,
there
I
are many.
understand. Every place has to have rules. I understand that completely. There's good reasons that a person shouldn't be in a war. I mean, I have a friend here that's he works, but he's basically crippled, and he has a hip trauma, and he's lucky he can walk. To fight a war? No. The guy's 50, pushing 50 anyway. But I mean, he could be in support somewhere, but he also supports the economy where he's at. So, just because he's not moving shells onto a train or something as part of a support to the war effort doesn't mean he's not helping the society uh, continue to be sustained here at the regular society. So I know every government has to make decisions like that. And for me, his situation is pretty easy to understand. I mean,
Yeah, but what you see here is that cause and effect, people sometimes forget. I know that my wife told me that in our area there are people that blame the electricity company for the blackouts. It's not their fault. It's because Russian blew it up. You have to put the blame on the right spot, and they are working really hard. And you have all these things, like if there was no war, nobody would have make decisions who goes to war and who
Yeah.
doesn't, who goes to the front, who stays in the back. This is all forced upon us, and
Yeah.
you have to deal with it. I mean,
And Europe wouldn't be sending huge electrical components to support Europe. I mean, to support Ukraine's trying to rebuild their electric infrastructure all the time, generator plants and transmission stations.
yeah, and
etc.
hitting them is a war crime,
Right.
but nobody says anything about
Well,
that.
there's so many war crimes against Russia now. Those guys could never come out of Russia without being immediately moved to a world court for war crimes. The rest of their lives would be behind bars until they were either executed or kept alive, I think.
We don't execute anymore.
Well, we had, I don't know how many years some of the Nazis were incarcerated, and they would occasionally be re-interviewed over some material that they found. But generals, particularly, I'm thinking of Adolf Eichmann, but there may have been others. I can't remember all their names, but
Yeah, and the
back in the
Nuremberg trials.
60s, you heard about it all the time.
We went off track a little bit.
Well, I
Can
don't
I have
think
another
I don't
coffee?
think post-war talk is completely out of the
No,
realm of
but
war
it's just
talk.
there's all these things that is like if yeah, our lives were so simple before the war. It was so nice, and now it's all
I know.
like you have all these moral things, and it's like
Yeah, the people
Jesus
would
Christ.
complain about the roads or the
yeah.
something else.
Well, there's a volunteer from Germany that fixes roads in the front line,
Oh,
potholes,
yeah.
because the Russians know where these potholes are.
Ah.
So they aim for it. So this guy, this German guy, he finances it all on himself and via YouTube and everything. He fixes in the front line, he's being shelled and everything, fixes potholes,
Yeah.
gets all the stuff so the army can drive there and
okay. Yes,
not
yes.
be bombed. And it's all
Yes.
these little things that,
Sure,
all
sure.
these volunteers and,
Yeah, infrastructure,
yeah, it's,
logistics.
and every time I am in many Telegram channels where people raise money for the army.
Oh, yeah.
And if you see how much money the Ukrainians still donate to our cause, it's
Yes.
very heartwarming. Yeah, I don't see it's bleak, but also hopeful. And I think you always have to have hope, because what else are you gonna do?
Right, right. Well, I must be optimistic, and I do have hope.
You're still here.
Yeah, and you already know, I believe they're going to draw a line somewhere, and we're going to eventually take back all territory after Putin dies and Russia collapses again, and they get another Gorbachev figure. Because we'll probably need Russia to stand up, even if it's just a rump state, which is the way they would like to leave Ukraine. But there's no reason Russia shouldn't exist. It just can't be with a Putinized government.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less Soviet Union with all these
Yeah.
countries that they melted into the Russian identity.
Well, they've made it so that they can't allow themselves to be taken alive.
You're hiding from the camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they can't. I mean, any real war criminal, he's not going to surrender unless he's been convinced. Okay, look, I get life in prison, and they come and interview me, and I get to take cakes with the New York Times or something like that. Whatever.
Well, maybe we
Should we give him a rest?
finish the coffee and yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll use a script next time and stay more on topic.
Oh no, not a Dan. Okay, take it easy, people.
Yeah.
See you later.